Hey guys, welcome back to OGR. So today's project is to build a deck. It's going to be freestanding deck. It's not actually going to be attached to the house, but we're building a 16 by 32 foot deck with an outdoor kitchen. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do this in parts or if I can time lapse this enough to be able to do this as one video, but we'll see when we get down to it. But the kind of like the scope right now is right behind me. This is the back porch kind of overhang area, and we're going to be going 32 foot wide and then 16 feet out. So you can see right there, that's a water pipe. So we're running water. We're doing a outdoor kitchen that's going to have a sink, beer fridge, refrigerator, grill, pizza oven. We're going to do some like doors and shelving, but right now we're running water here. We're going to run the waistline out, and we're running propane here that's going to come straight from, there's a propane line right behind me and the excavator that's doing it, but right behind that is the propane tank that feeds the house. And then we're running this from the manifold over to a main manifold where we'll split out to run all the appliances. So we'll get started on this. First thing we got to do is like layout. I'm going to do stakes and string so I can get all my cross pieces and kind of see where all of this is going to go. I have OCD about support and about things being structurally sound. So I like to put post every 8 feet. So this is going to have 15 posts that's going to be holding this up. But the first phase right now is just to build a 16 by 32 foot deck and start laying it out and start digging the post. Lumber, concrete, everything is going to be delivered tomorrow, so we need to get cracking. All right, so kind of got out of the sunlight here a little bit, but this is just the beginning of what it looks like. So I had our electrician come out, take a look, because we're running power obviously out to this. We're gonna pipe that along the bottom of the deck, so I need to get all the framing done before we put the decking up. He's gonna come back and run all of our piping and wire. But the plumbers were here running the propane line. The manifold actually sits out behind those bushes. And then our water line that we're gonna tap right in on the other side of that bush where it goes into the garage. There's also a spigot right there, so we're gonna tap right off and then be able to put a blowout valve for winter. So right now it's January, it is a little chill, but we have a main event happening in March that this needs to be done by. So we need to, get moving on it, even though it's winter. It's fine. I mean, you want this to be done and ready for whenever the warm weather comes around. You can actually enjoy it and not wait for it to being built. So off of the grade, obviously we don't want to put this decking to be sitting on dirt. So we're going to have a step up off the concrete that will go to the deck. So the deck will be just, kind of a small little step up onto the deck, and then it'll be ready to rock and roll. All right, so here's the flip side of that. We got the tool trailer starting to set everything up to get ready to work on. First thing we want to do here is do our layout of our posts. I'm going every 3 feet, or every 3 feet. I'm going every 8 feet. So in both directions. So we'll have, since we're 16 feet from the concrete out is where we're going, we're going to have 3 posts starting here 8 feet in or 8 feet out, and then 16 feet out at the very end, and then 5 wide going, from our beginning to 8 feet to 16 to 24 to 32. So, and then we'll cross measure everything to make sure that our deck is square. Digging the post, our frost line here in North Texas is 10 inches, but we have a little bit of like shift with the earth with this clay. So I'm actually going to set these posts 24 inches deep. I think that'll be deep enough. So, and again, we're not attaching to the house or anything of the house. This is just going to be a free floating deck right off. And then our backyard here is sloped down and away from us. So obviously with us going level, it's going to be raised up, but we're doing railing all the way around this, except I believe on this side here, we're going to build our cabinetry for our outdoor kitchen. So the cabinets is basically going to be the railing, you know, for it. It's going to stop anybody from falling off of it. But the other two sides will have railing, and then this side will just be a step up right onto the deck. So first things first, lay out where our posts are going to be, and then start digging our post out. All right, so as I'm digging these holes, I'm figuring out there's a little bit of an issue, but I think we can get it resolved. So I want the post on this front edge to be right up against, or real close to the concrete. So whenever I put my ledger or my board around the edge of it, it's going to overhang this a little bit, so there's no void in between the deck and the concrete. So I want it to overhang, so I want to get this post as close to the edge as I possibly can, and then we're going to overhang it. Now the issue that I'm having is that when they pour the concrete, it just like spilled out from their form, underneath their form, because obviously they didn't backfill this until after the concrete was put in. So it spilled out, and it's probably at least a foot away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little jackhammer. Oh, here's a good example right here. So you can see from the form it just spilled out because they didn't come back and do the grading until after the concrete was put in. Obviously, it makes sense. So what I want to do is I'm going to take the jackhammer and jackhammer just this spill out, nothing underneath, but just this spill out, chip this all away so I can dig my hole, so I can put my case on in and put my post here in concrete and put it right up to the edge. So we'll add that to our list of things to do also. So it's going to be like that on all 5 of these going down. So I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking, why are you digging post holes by hand and not using an auger? Great question. Let me explain to you why. So as I'm digging this, This Texas black clay is like a combination of cement and super glue and all things evil wrapped up into clay. So as you're digging, I don't know, can you see this? It just sticks in here, and the only way to get it out, it just sticks to your shovel. I mean, it's literally clay, black clay. So if I was to use an auger, what would happen would be it would just stick to the auger and eventually bind itself to the point where it won't go any further. And you have to try to reverse it out. And me by myself, even with a hydraulic walk behind, I'm probably going to get it stuck and spend more time trying to get the auger out of the dirt than actually digging itself. So yes, it sucks with the post hole digger, but at least here I can just kind of scrape it out on the top and the bottom and then get back in it, pull it back out. Now, one trick that my plumber just told me was to use a bucket of water and to try to keep it wet, and it isn't supposed to stick as much. So we got a bucket of water here, we'll dip it in, test this out. Well, that was a lot easier, for sure. Let's try it one more time. Maybe it was a fluke. So it still sticks, but not nearly as bad. It's a lot easier to get it off with the shovel being wet. So we'll press forward using that technique and seeing how that goes. All right, so now we got all of our posts dug. Um, black clay. So it took a lot longer than I thought. Took a lot longer than I hoped. But where are we sitting at? We're probably sitting around 4 o'clock right now. I want to get, this is day 2. I really want to get the post set. And in concrete, leveled, everything stringed up straight so it can set overnight so we can get cracking on it. We'll just take a quick look. All right, so nothing fancy. I don't even know why I'm showing you this, to be honest with you. It's holes in the ground. Kind of hard to see in the shadow, I get it. So what I want to do is on this front side here, I got 4x4x8s. So all of our lumber got delivered and concrete. So 4x4x8s. This is pretty much, it's going to be right above ground level. We're 2 feet in the ground, so that's going to leave us 2 feet up above whenever I cut a 4x4x8 in half. So that's the idea for the front 5. Well, and actually these back ones, because I know we're not going to be 2 feet above grade. The ones in the center, the 5 in the center. Now the 5 on the ends, I'm just going to put a full piece in because I'm not exactly sure what the drop is, where it's going to leave us at. So rather be safe than sorry. So I'm going to get these 4x4s cut up, drop them in, run some string, and start plumbing them, the post, and then we'll come back and we'll cut them down later. But for right now, we're just going to drop them, plumb them, concrete them, be good to go. So here's the level that I use on 4x4 post. I also use it on round post. It has an elastic band that attaches itself to the post and holds it tight and secure. Basically, if you're looking at it, you're kind of doing side to side and forward and back all at the same time, and instead of trying to put a level on one side and then you flip it, put a level on the other. And I used to do that until I found this, and I was like, oh, now I have like levels on both sides. You can see it all at once, and it frees your hand up to where you can hold it with one hand and then putting your concrete in with the other. But if you're using something bigger than a 4x4 post, sometimes that elastic band isn't long enough, so I'll use wire and hook the wire up on one side, take it around, and then loop it on the other side so it'll hold it secure. I set my corner post first. Once I set my corner post, then I run a string from one side to the other, get it tight, and then once I have a tight string, then I can lay the ones that are right in between the corner pieces, the two corners. I can lay those right on the string and I know I got a straight line. So I do this every time without fail. The only time is obviously if you're not going to have one in the center, then there's no point in doing a string. But you know, if I'm doing like an 8-foot deck where I'm just going from corner to corner. But here on this 32-foot run, I did this corner here and then stretched it all the way across and did the other corner, and then come back and do the centers to where they're right up on the line. They're right up, just barely like touching the string. So now I know that all of these are straight all the way through. What I'm going to do is these piles here, I'm going to kind of level those out with like a hoe, and then put felt down here so we can stop the grass from growing up, and then I'll just stake it in. I'll just put felt and just stake the felt in, and then we'll start stringing our joists all the way around. So and then put this center beam in here. So now the fun begins.